So this is the Volantex Ranger 1600. It's essentially my replacement for the XK A1200. I lost the XK A1200 due to my own stupidity. Basically, I flew it in too much wind. The wind was coming from the south there. It got blown too far north. I was trying to bring it back. The visibility is not great to the north, as you can see, because there's trees and everything. I fought too hard to bring it back without bringing it down, because I took it behind the trees, I would be lost anyway. Lost control of it, blew right away. Spent 3 miserable hours searching for it, couldn't find it. Short story. I think it went down, ultimately I came to the conclusion it probably went down into the cornfield, the other side of the creek, and trying to find anything in corn this time of year when the corn's 7 feet high is a bit of a dead loss. You're not going to find anything, the harvester will find it. So anyway, I looked at what I could buy instead. Checking the trims on this guy. I already did sort of check them a bit. They don't look too bad at all, do they? No, they look pretty centered. I've got the Droneview camera on him. He's got a camera mount. I mean, if you're not putting a camera on, you can put the canopy there over, but since I've got the canopy, he's designed for carrying various cameras. You can carry a camera inside him. There's a port at the front there as well. He's designed for carrying payload, so not surprisingly, he balanced quite a bit tail heavy without any payload. I've actually got about 1.5 ounces of lead, because the Droneview is only 1 ounce payload, so I'm using a bigger battery than they said. I'm using a 3000 milliampere or 1 cell, and I've got 1.5 ounces of lead in the front. You could, by mucking around, taking the lead out and things and whatever, you could carry a heavier payload clearly if you wanted to, and I'm sure people do. Let's see if we can start the Droneview recording. It's hard to see this. It's a little later, so it's I've missed it, I think. I missed the button, I think. Yes, I guess I did. Oh, no, I didn't miss the button. It's recording. There you go. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's hard to tell. It's very hard to read the screen on the tablet when it's brighter. They said it was going to rain all day today, but it's not raining now, and I couldn't see any on the radar, so we thought we'd bring him out and try and Maiden him. Little windier than they said, though. Not much. 5 to 10 kilometers an hour from the west. I'm not sure whether this guy's going to take off the grass or not. He's got quite a fair bit of power. What is that motor? It's just a 212, but it's a 1400 kV running off a 3 cell. They do sort of say you can take him off the ground. There's virtually no video about this guy. Like, I looked on the internet, I couldn't find actually a single sensible video review of this guy. The closest I could find was a review of the Ranger 2000, which seems to be very much the same plane with a bigger wingspan. I don't know. Whoa. Well, he's a little hard to get moving over the grass. No. It's hard to get moving. I might have to hand launch him. He's hard to get moving over the grass. And then his line of thrust is high, so when he does get moving, he's trying to push his nose down. Oops, daisy. I was hoping we could take him off the grass. You could take the XK A1200 off the grass. The XK A1200 had a wheel. This guy just has a sort of wheel-like skid, but it's not a wheel. The XK A1200 was a high thrust. The A1200, I don't know. I don't know. was just about to give in there when he went. Obviously not what you would call a particularly useful or reliable takeoff. Ended up wandering all over the runway and taking off at just before the wrong end. Obviously wouldn't have done that if there was much wind. Very confusing, this plane is. Well, not so much the plane, but they call it the Ranger 1600. The problem is Volantex seem to call half the things they sell Ranger, whether they've got anything much to do with each other or not. So, when you say Volantex Ranger, by and large, people think of a sort of plane with a shorter wing, with a bigger chord and a landing gear and a wider fuselage, which they've been selling for quite a while. You know, but this doesn't have an awful lot in common with that, really. It's a pusher, it has that much in common with it, but if I can, as much as I can follow what Volantex have been doing, their stuff isn't as well documented as some companies. But it seems like they had something called a Raptor, which was a sort of powered glider FTV plane. Then they discontinued that and brought out, I thought we might be getting some wing flex there, but I think it was just an optical illusion. Let's cut the power and see how he glides. Yeah, not too bad. Not really a glider, though. They discontinued the Raptor, and then, as far as I can see, they brought out something they decided to call the Ranger 2000. Whoa. Took a real dip there, didn't he? And I don't know why. I don't think he stalled. I don't know, maybe he did stall. Maybe he stalled then, because he certainly took a real dip for some reason.
Time remaining 8 minutes.
Well, that, I don't know what that... I put a 10-minute... I've got a 3,000 milliamp hour 3-cell in him. Doesn't really seem to want to climb all that much. I've had him on high rates all this time because they don't seem really all that high. I mean, I put him on high rates to take him off, to try and help with the takeoff, and then I've never put them down because he doesn't really feel like he's operating under terribly high rates. Oh no, he almost feels a bit underpowered for his size. I mean, you know, he flies okay, but I mean, it's not like he wants to climb at a particularly high rate or whatever. When I'm basically just trying to climb for some altitude here. But, okay, level him and cut the power and see what happens. I don't know, really. I really don't. I don't know whether this was a good trade or not. Well, the trade, I just lost the A1200. I mean, I thought of buying another A1200, but, you know, they don't sell it bind and fly, so I would have had to buy the whole ready-to-fly version with a transmitter again. And it was like, I'm Canadian, so it would have been like 200 Canadian. And then it seems like the only place you can buy it from are like Chinese places like Gear Best and Banggood, which are fine, I don't mind buying from them. But stuff does tend to take... Banggood do have a US warehouse now, but I don't think they had the A1200 in stock at their US warehouse. And if it's coming from China, I've found stuff's been taking 2 to 3 months, basically, typically, to come from China this year. And given that it's already, you know, mid-September virtually, there's really no point ordering something at this point if it's going to take 2 to 3 months to come here. Because it's, you know, it's going to be, the snow's going to be on the ground by the time it comes, and I'm not really going to want to fly it much. This is not really something I don't think that I'd want to fly much with the snow on the ground, really. I don't know. Anyway, so I decided to go, and also just for novelty, just to see what was on, I decided to go with something different rather than just replacing the A1200 with another A1200. And I looked around at various options. I wish I could have found more information about this guy. You know, I bought him basically mainly... Well, that's full power. If you give him full power, I guess he claims. I was trying to climb at less than full power before. I guess if you give him full power, he climbs pretty briskly. Yeah, that was full power. That was full throttle. And, you know, he climbs pretty briskly at full throttle, yes. So I bought this guy largely on the specs, you know, more than on any kind of review or recommendation, because I couldn't find any particular. Well, I'd found a review of the A2000, which was, was somewhat, well, generally recommended it, but with a lot of caveats. He has a plastic fuselage. His fuselage is not foam. His fuselage is made out of some fairly flexible, tough plastic, and then the wings and the empennage are foam. And that, again, I wasn't so sure about, because it's very hard to repair that kind of plastic when it breaks, really. It's not like foam. You can't just easily glue it with CA or whatever, because it's pretty thin. It's like a rubbery kind of, almost, plastic. But I'm told Volantex apparently have been making their planes out of this stuff for a while. And it's supposed to be pretty tough. Some people say it's tougher than foam, so hopefully, you know, people seem to just bend it back into shape and maybe reinforce it a little bit here and there when they crash it, and they seem to get away with flying these planes for quite a while. So we hope. I hope we don't find out in a big hurry. I don't want to crash him, but let's just see a little bit how he maneuvers as a, you know, just a general flyer. Wind seems to be getting up a little bit, if anything, now. Well, in fact, she definitely is. It's going up more to 15 to 20, it feels to me, the way it's blowing me. Not saying that from the plane particularly, just from the way it's blowing me. I can feel the wind myself. How positive are his ailerons? Not too bad, not super. He doesn't have what you call he doesn't have really a snappy roll rate, but he can roll. Try again. Whoa! Yeah, no. I would not want to be rolling him very much. That was much too hairy. I lost altitude. I was just trying to roll him, really, and I lost altitude, a lot of altitude. Not good. Yeah, well, I didn't buy him as an aerobatic plane, by any means. By any means, I bought him mainly as, you know, what the A1200 was, more or less a powered glider that you could carry some payload on.
Time remaining 5 minutes.
Maybe fly him FPV, not this year, though, I don't think. Maybe, if I have a transmitter that's a bit more powerful and I feel a bit more confident. So far, I'm really just flying micros FPV, like the Champ S Plus. That wasn't too bad. The Champ S Plus and the Cub S, that's pretty much all I'm flying. I bought that little Nano QX2 drone, though I haven't even flown that FPV yet. This guy, of course, does not have any kind of state. Well, I mean, it was a plug and play, and you can buy him as a kit. And some people were saying it's better to buy him as a kit, but I don't know. Depends where you live. For me, I don't know. I don't mind putting the servos in. I can put my own servos in. That's no problem. But you know, motors and ESCs. If I buy motors and ESCs locally, they are not at all cheap. That's the sun. That's 4 out of 10, so we probably should think of bringing him in fairly soon. Yeah, motors and ESCs are not cheap if I buy them locally, really. I can buy them from China, I suppose, but then you got to pay shipping. I forked out for the FedEx shipping for this guy. I wanted to get him quickly. The plane was 75 US or something like that, and then I forked out like 60 US or something for the shipping, because I wanted to get it quickly. So, but it still cost me under 200 Canadian delivered from HobbyKing. I bought it from HobbyKing because I wanted to get a replacement for the A1200 fairly quickly. It was basically what it came down to. The propeller, now interestingly enough, the propeller does not fold and does not have a brake on, so your propeller is just feathering, basically, when you're gliding, which is not ideal for a glider, really. Now, I'm warned this guy tends to glide a lot, so people were saying, you know, it's a bit hard to land him because he'll tend to go up again when you go to land him, although I'm not seeing this too much from here. It seems to be coming into land pretty... You know, I wouldn't have wanted it to come into land any less steeply than that. That was good. I'm certainly not going to try and... I'm certainly not going to try and taxi it. I mean, you know, based on that takeoff, I mean, it's... I don't know, he might try polishing the bottom, see if that makes him move over the grass any better. Because, you know, it was very marginal getting him off there. I barely got him off. And he tends to turn around all sorts of because one wing or the other will touch the ground, and that makes him sort of turn around weirdly. So that's why we ended up taking it the wrong way, because he sort of pivoted. So he's not at all... You know, he really doesn't work very well for taking off the grass, it seems. More wind, maybe he'd take off better, but then, I don't know. He seems, you know, I mean, I don't know, I have mixed feelings so far. He's reasonably controllable and whatever. Don't feel, so we took, that was 7 minutes and 18 seconds of motor there. Oh, God, I can hardly see this thing. I'm trying to stop the drone view there. I think we stopped it, yes. Yep. It's very, very hard to see the screen of the tablet here in the bright daylight. It's hard to see the screen of the tablet, and it's hard to see the LED on the drone view. It's not flashing, though, so... Yes, I'm assuming we're okay there. It's almost impossible to read, really. I don't know. Yeah, that was the picture. We took a picture there. Not so much that I want to take a picture, I just wanted to see what was happening with things. There we go. Famous last words. I can't see the screen here. I'm trying to deal with this, and oh, I've got it upside, well, not upside down, it goes either way up. But... Okay, we'll turn that off. We'll turn that off. So, well, we will definitely have, you know, more time with this guy another day, but that was a Maiden. That was the first time I've flown, and first time I've flown anything from Volantex. You know, needs a little bit of construction, and oddly enough the instructions were written in quite clear English, unlike a lot of these overseas things. What was there was in quite clear English, but they kind of missed out bits that you needed to know. So, for example, there was no mention at all of the ailerons. It looked from the instructions as if they were thinking when they wrote the instructions it was going to be a 3-channel plane, because they did not mention any work on the ailerons at all, and you had to. They didn't come with the control horns on. You had to put all the control horns. The servos were in, but you had to put the control horns on yourself and hook the rods up and adjust them. And they told you about doing the tail ones, but they didn't mention doing the aileron ones. And of course, you've got to plug the wires in. And it has these, I don't forget what they call them. There's some trademarked click connectors for the wings. These things, which are supposed to connect the wings. You push them in and they click. They would not click for me. Absolutely not. To get them to connect, I basically had to shove a screwdriver down there, force them in with a screwdriver, and then shove a knife down and force them down with a knife. That was the only way I could get those things to engage. No amount of actual just pushing on the wing would get them to click into place, as they allege they do. But by pushing a large screwdriver in and pushing them until they were beyond the thing, and then pushing a knife in and pushing them down, the hook part down behind where it's supposed to hook in, I was able to get them to hook in. But, you know... So I have mixed feelings, you know. The thing went together reasonably well, but with a few little hiccups like that, trying to make things to work, and reading, you know, adding extra lines between the steps in the instructions where things were sort of missed out. Okay, well, we'll see. That was a reasonably successful Maiden. We'll have have a go with him another day and see what we can see if we get much more flying time this year.